I'm thrilled to kick things off with today's first lecture, Duke and Durham, a legacy of growth and transformation. In this lecture, we're going to explore the powerful connection between Duke University and the city of Durham, two places with a deep history and a shared story that continues to evolve. Whether you've been here for decades or even just arrived, we're all part of a legacy that's been unfolding for years. And to help us explore this story today, I'm honored to introduce someone who knows this community well, Reverend Dr. M. Keith Daniel. Dr. Daniel is a co-founder and managing director of Resilient Ventures, investing in African-American-led high-growth companies, and leads Madison Consulting Group, helping individuals and organizations thrive. With over 30 years of leadership at Duke University and in Durham, he's focused on building meaningful connections across the Chapel, Divinity School, and Fuqua School of Business. Beyond his career, Dr. Daniel is a pastor, mentor, and advocate for equity and thriving communities. He holds degrees from Duke and NC State, including a Doctor of Ministry from Duke Divinity School, and is deeply committed to family and community. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Dr. Keith Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you, Nissa. Well, thank you, Nissa, for such a kind introduction. I couldn't be more thrilled to stand on the stage and to invite you into the world as I have experienced over the last 4 decades. I came to Duke in 1986 and had no idea I would spend the rest of my life career here. But as I stand before you today, I'm grateful for the chance to help you appreciate the relationship between Duke and Durham, and weave my story in there a bit, because the more every day that passes in Durham and here at Duke that I get to play and experience is a gift. I biked over here from downtown Durham, my office at the NC Mutual Tower. I actually had my pants sleeve rolled up, and Nissa reminded me I need to roll it down. I said, well, maybe I'll keep it up to prove that that's what I did. But Durham is a lot different than when I came here in 1986. And I want to give you some appreciation for the change that's happened over these many decades. This is what Durham looked like, and I don't, those of you who are in the classes of the 80s and before, I suspect you didn't have much of a social life outside of the Duke bubble. Durham was actually characterized as a place that was dangerous, and you were to stay out of Durham. And for me, it was a lot different. Coming to Duke and being admitted to university was an amazing gift to me. It was a coming home. This is a picture of my father, Charles, his brother, George, who were born and raised here. My mother was born and raised here as well, but I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. So coming to Duke was a return essentially home, and I had a chance to have a life outside of Duke that was very much impacted by my family, my lineage. That actually goes farther back than Duke's age, 100 years. In the early 1900s, my third great grandfather was able to, after gaining his freedom, was able to purchase a plot of land in East Durham, build a church there, built some homes there for our family on my mother's side. So my lineage, my roots were already really, really deep. And so I appreciated Durham in a different way. I had a chance to get out, go to a place like the Chicken Hut on Fayetteville Road, explore NC Central with family relationships there. My Aunt Mary Ann lived in southern Durham off of Barbie Road. Now, if you go out that way, you're going into the South Point Mall that was there. My grandmother lived on Angel Avenue in East Durham. And then my mother was actually born and raised in Walltown, the Walltown neighborhood, just right off of East Campus. And if some of you may not know this, but last fall, they honored George Wall and George Frank Wall for their legacy here at this university by renaming the East Campus Dining Hall the Wall Center. It was a beautiful ceremony and another really punctuating moment for me to recognize that the world that Duke occupies was already preoccupied 56 years before when Durham was incorporated. 156 years old, this city, and the people here are just amazing. And it has been a true gift to kind of reckon with what it means for the town-gown relationship we often talk about, the interaction between the city and a university. Now, again, there's always challenges in that respect because it can often be regarded, and it has been over the years, as a kind of a bit of a divide. And we had a very difficult time in 2005 with the lacrosse scandal situation and ignominious public display of just a tragic event between the city residents and the neighborhoods and so forth. And for me, that was really troubling because by that time I had gotten my second degree at Duke and I was working at Duke Chapel, heading up their core student ministry. And over that period, I had a chance to renovate an old house in Durham. And that house was on West Chapel Hill Street, less than a mile from here. While we were doing that with the support of the Duke congregation, the congregation at Duke Chapel, it again helped me to appreciate like the legacy in this city. So where the house is located is also the neighborhood of Pauli Murray, the first African American woman to be ordained as an Episcopal priest. And Pauli Murray murals are all over the city. I've watched the city transform before my eyes, even from an early age. I didn't mention again with my father, his sister that I mentioned lived on Barbie Road. Got a chance to, like I say, appreciate the legacy and the stories in the city. And there are too many for me to tell in the short period of time that I have. But the West End neighborhood, less than a mile away from here, is in an incredible neighborhood that's taken time to celebrate its rich history through the story of Pauli Murray and the neighborhood leadership there. The Duke-Durham Neighborhood Partnership started in 1989, my junior year, and that relationship was key to address the educational issues in the city, and they were very instrumental in helping us thinking about how do you be good neighbors in Durham. So in 2006, like I said, that's when we started to renovate the old house in Durham, and I found this article in the Durham Herald. It's a little funny, I really want to work in Durham because of its vibrant art scene, downtown revitalization, cultural diversity, good hospitals, good colleges, and fabulous restaurant. And would you live here? Are you crazy? What? Are you crazy? So this is 2006. So there was still the stigma, and there was still the sense that something good, some good things were taking place in Durham, but they were still what seemingly is light years from what it is today. But for someone like me, when people talk about your hometown, hopefully you have sort of a pride, like we have a pride for Duke, right? So as I saw Duke start to invest in 1 million square foot of space in downtown Durham and offices in different places, I was like, okay, this Duke's kind of getting outside of its own bubble. When Mayor William Bill Bell was mayor for about 16-year period, then it really started to surge, the relationship and Duke's influence together with the city of Durham. So I was walking downtown, not too far from my office. We actually invested in a Duke alum who runs the BU Cafe. Everybody, when you leave here, go right out there, get you a cup of coffee, refreshment from the BU Cafe on the mall. But Dorian Bolden had a cafe shop in downtown Durham for many years. I was walking there, I think this was 2022, and I looked up and the SunTrust building was being imploded. They were taking it down. I was like, oh my goodness. By this time, so many condos and so many other things had happened that, again, you kind of wake up and you're like, when did all of this occur? But that building is now yet another major condo. If you want a $3.5 million condo, just, walk downtown a little bit of ways. Again, amazing change, amazing transformation. But Durham has now become so vibrant, it's walkable, bikeable. The history and the diversity has, for me, it's been mesmerized. But again, because I call this my hometown. The story of Pauli Murray, her book, Proud Shoes, you need to read that. You need to know about Miss Ann Atwater and the story of the unlikely friendship she had with the Klansman named C.P. Ellis, and a movie was produced on that. The Bull Durham movie was produced in 1988, I believe. And the stories go on and on. I think I read somewhere that there are 300 restaurants and cafe shops in downtown Durham. Durham has 5 districts, and a lot of these tobacco warehouses, they all now are like condos and venues and co-working spaces and, multiple ice cream parlors. There's bookstores. I mean, this place is amazing. And I think of it on equal footing as I've thought about my career here at Duke. I've had 6 different jobs at Duke, and one of the greatest ones has been to help Duke embrace the city of Durham and see the shared story and its shared history. In 2013, I was honored to be the manager of Duke's commemoration of integration. And one of the punctuating events for me was to have an event at the DPAC to celebrate Durham's story and its influence on folks like me, who in my family was the first to attend a predominantly white institution. As you might imagine, my parents and their siblings and so forth, that was not an option for them. So it was really important for me to make this connection so that I have a sense of belonging here that I might not otherwise have. So when people ask me, what was it like for you to go to Duke? I say, hey, I had a distinct advantage. I was home. And my home was that city outside of the city, right? We talk about students living in the bubble. And I'm really proud of Duke for its efforts to invite students into Durham now. It's no longer like that cartoon, would you live there? The population size is like tenfold from what it was today. And so my job is to be more and more of an ambassador each day for students who are looking to explore life and to understand what it means to be a good neighbor in your community. Again, let's ditch that history of students who live off campus and loud music and drinking and no recognition of like people's everyday lives. And it's been beautiful to behold, to see the students' interest in community, interest in understanding the plight of the neighborhoods, to understand its richness. And I end by saying there's an organization, when I finally technically left Duke, if you haven't realized that, with all these degrees, I figured I might as well just continue to collect some paper here. But what I've enjoyed the most, one of the privileges, it has been with the student experiences in Durham in our city. And when I left in 2012, I went to, actually ended up being 2014 before I officially left full-time. I went to work for an organization called Durham Cares. And we do immersion weekends for students, city residents, anyone in Durham who wants to understand their story, the story of the city, and being the preacher that I am, God's story. And where do they intersect? And today I'm here to celebrate Ereditio et Religio, which is that mystery of faith seeking understanding, trying to make sense of what it means to be in a place, to appreciate its history, not to deny it. As Pauli Murray says in this beautiful quote, this beautiful mural on the street that she lived on in the West End, she said, we have to learn to embrace all of our history, the dignity and the degradation. And sometimes that means looking back and seeing the destruction that's happened, the new things that are being constructed, while at the same time lamenting who is being displaced in all of that, who is still being made to have a sense of belonging in all of that. And that's my gift, and that's my time, I believe. And so thank you all so much for listening.